I tell you who knows how to do a good Easter message, though, and that is President Donald Trump.
We remember the suffering and death of God's only Son and his glorious resurrection on the third day. On Easter Sunday, we proclaim with joy, Christ is risen.
Christ is risen indeed, brother. I love it. I love it. Here's someone who's saying, this is a Christian nation. I still speak the language. Whether you want to argue that he himself is a Christian or not, I don't care. At least, like our pollies do every Ramadan, every Diwali, happy to celebrate every other religion's holy days, but it gets to Christianity and all of a sudden they're stumm. What happened? Oh, I don't know. Were there tweets down that day? No, you know exactly what happened. They just decided to outright ignore it, despite the fact that this was, to start out with, not only a Christian country, but you can thank the entirety of Western civilization for those who called Jesus Lord from the very beginning. Where do they think we even got the concept of human rights from and the equality of man?
Well, you know who wrote the Magna Carta? The Archbishop of Canterbury, for heavens.
The funny thing about, you said, Joe Biden's turning LGBTQ into a state religion, and he does so by corrupting...
Well, it already has been, but it's further proof
He's reinforcing it, but he does so by corrupting the Christian religion of which he is supposed to be an adherent. He tweeted that transgendered people are made in the image of God, as the Bible says. Everyone's made in the image of God. Yes. But if you'd read the rest of the verse, it says God created them in his image, male and female. He created them. So Biden's great at quoting selectively and then twisting it for his own ends. But of course, that's not the only way in which the Biden administration is getting all muddled up over religion. Get this, their annual Easter egg art contest specifies that kids who, decorate an Easter egg and then Jill and Joe Biden judge the winners. But the entrants must, and I quote, have no religious symbols or overtly religious themes. Now, Easter is an overtly religious holiday, Caleb. It's a religious celebration. So how can you have an Easter competition without it being overtly religious?
Give me a break. Actually, I've borrowed one of your lines there. Give me a break.
Give me a break.
Richard Dawkins, famously an atheist, wrote The God Delusion, etc., on the weekend was talking about the fact that in the UK, it seemed there was more celebration of Ramadan than there was Easter. And he said he was, quote unquote, disgusted by that. So when even someone like Richard Dawkins acknowledges that the pendulum has swung way too far on this stuff, because of course, if they had a Ramadan-related event at the White House, there'd be no edict that you couldn't have any kind of religious involvement because it's a religious event.
And they'd be too afraid to do it. But the crazy thing about Richard Dawkins, because I saw that as well, and he's lamenting, the death of Christianity because it's being replaced by Islam, and he says, I'm not comfortable with Islam, it makes me nervous. Well, stupid Richard Dawkins spent most of his professional life bagging and undermining Christianity, and now he's saying, oh, I need Christianity to protect me, and that's the story of the Western world right now, is we're literally cutting off the branch that we're sitting on and then complaining that we're feeling a bit wobbly.
Well, speaking of branches, he was talking about the roots and how the UK, the entire empire, was rooted in Christianity and Christian thinking, to which Dr. Jordan Peterson then took that clip and shared it to his millions of followers on Twitter and says, and yes, Dawkins, and what happens when the roots are cut out or when the roots are killed off by whatever rot they've introduced into the soil. I think it was a great illustration.